Welcome to AI TV News. 5 years after the COVID-19 pandemic first disrupted classrooms across the country, a quiet but persistent crisis continues to unfold. While some aspects of school life have returned to normal, new data reveals that in the crucial subject of reading, the nation's students are still stuck in a pandemic slump. The latest findings from 2024 paint a concerning picture. Instead of bouncing back, reading scores for many students have either flatlined at pandemic-era lows or continued to decline. Data from the National Assessment of Educational Progress, or NAEP, looking at results from 2024, confirms this stagnation for students in 4th through 8th grade. In fact, slight gains that were made in reading back in 2022 have now been completely erased. This trend is also reflected in what's known as the Nation's Report Card, or the NAEP. The 2024 results showed that average reading scores for both 4th and 8th graders dropped by 2 points from 2022. This continues a downward slide that actually began before the pandemic. To put this in perspective, reading scores for these grades are now at levels not seen since the early 1990s. What makes this situation even more puzzling is that we're seeing a different story with math. While math scores also dropped significantly during the pandemic, they are now showing small but steady signs of recovery. Experts have a few theories why. One is that schools may have focused more intensely on math since it saw the biggest initial drops. Another idea is that math skills can be broken down into specific, teachable units, making it easier to target problem areas. Reading, on the other hand, is a more complex skill that relies on broader knowledge and may require more fundamental changes to teaching methods. Perhaps the most troubling aspect of this story is a widening gap between the highest and lowest performing students. The data shows that students who are already doing well have largely recovered and in some cases have even surpassed their pre-pandemic achievement levels. But for students who are already struggling, the opposite is true. They are falling further and further behind. The biggest declines in reading have been among these lowest performing students.
This divide is especially noticeable in school districts that had longer periods of remote learning, which often serve more low-income students and students of color. Let's look closer at the numbers because they reveal the scale of the challenge. According to the 2024 Nation's Report Card, fewer than 1/3 of students across the country are considered proficient in reading. A record 1/3 of all 8th graders are now scoring below the NAEP basic level. For 4th graders, the situation is even more dire, with 40% scoring below basic, the largest percentage since 2002. A 4th grader at this level may not be able to identify the main idea of a story or understand a character's motivation. While no state saw an increase in reading scores in 2024, there are rare bright spots. Louisiana, for example, has managed to surpass its 2019 4th grade reading scores, a success some attribute to its early adoption of research-backed reading instruction. So, why is this happening? The initial school shutdowns were the largest disruption to American education in modern history, leading to lost instructional time and struggles with student engagement. But the problems didn't end when schools reopened. Chronic absenteeism remains a major issue, with rates still significantly higher than before the pandemic. If students aren't in school, they can't learn. This has been especially damaging for younger students who are at a critical stage for learning foundational reading skills, like how to sound out words. Teachers in 3rd and 4th grade report they are now seeing more students than ever who lack these basic decoding abilities. The implications of this reading slump are profound. Reading isn't just another subject, it's the foundation for all other learning. The average learning loss in English has been estimated at a level that would normally take years of intensive intervention to fix. there is an urgent need for targeted support, especially for younger students and those in high-poverty schools, to prevent these learning gaps from becoming permanent. However, this is happening just as the federal pandemic aid that funded many recovery efforts, like tutoring and summer school, has expired. The road to recovery has been slower and more uneven than anyone hoped. The data is clear. While math is slowly climbing back, reading is stuck.
Addressing this will require a sustained and focused effort to ensure that a generation of students is not left behind by the long shadow of the pandemic.